the sounds of Christmas already are in the air. Love that jingle. It signifies the end of November, the beginning of December. Christmas time is literally around the corner. Thanks so much for joining us on the hottest breakfast show in all of Africa. Hashtag Jeff and Nick on Hot. Captain Koinange flying solo in this Boeing 787 Dreamliner. We've reached our cruising altitude of 39,000 feet, and it's clear skies all the way to a place called 10 o'clock. And we're going to be telling you about how NCBA Bank is saying, hey, we want to upgrade your life, whether it's by buying a new cell phone or buying a new iMac, buying a new, maybe new furniture, new apartment, new something, new car, whatever it is you want to upgrade. NCBA Bank says we'll reward you for it. We're going to be telling you more about that. All you need to do is open an account with NCBA, put in 5,000 shillings, that's it. And once in a while, since it's end of the month, maybe you can toss in a little more. And before you know it, you could be eligible for 100,000 shillings each and every week. That's the giveaway from NCBA Bank, the bank that says go for it. Speaking of going for it, have you guys heard of Mastercard? Mastercard is a global technology company in the payments industry. Now, its mission is to connect and power an inclusive digital economy that benefits everyone, everywhere, by making transactions safe, simple, smart, and accessible. Joining us live in the studios right now to talk more about that, Shehryar Ali. He's the Senior Vice President and Country Manager for East Africa and the Indian Ocean Islands. Good to see you. How's everything?
Awesome. Beautiful morning. Clear skies. Love it.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. The rains have abated for a little while, which is such a good sign.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Mastercard. It's on everyone's lips these days, and we want to know why. What's the secret?
Thank you. I think Mastercard, in the name, it says card, but we're far from that. We are a tech company. The company is focused on building inclusivity, ease, value, safety, security, and trust. That is what Mastercard is about. You know, just like Apple is not selling fruits, right? It's not a company. Similarly, Amazon. So what's in a name, I would say? Mastercard is a tech company. We're trying to bring in the new experiences of the future to the customer in East Africa. And that's what we are striving day in, day out for. So,
yeah. How many countries do you control in East Africa?
So I manage and work in 14 countries. We're a very partnership-based company. So we work with everybody from governments to telcos to fintechs to banks to merchants. And the list is growing by the day. Yeah.
And literally, like you said, you're not giving out cards. I mean, that's not what you do. Right? If a customer wants to get a Mastercard, they have to go through a bank.
Correct. We don't do it directly. It's always coming through our partners, which is banks, governments, fintechs, telcos. And we have live examples in East Africa, which we're really proud of. Yeah.
What is Mastercard's mandate in East Africa?
So, like I said, we are driven by our ambition and purpose. And that's very clear. Inclusivity. Yes, East Africa is the hub for mobile money. It's made a name for itself. The world follows East Africa, especially Kenya, because we've got 74 million mobile money accounts in the market. However, bank accounts are only limited to 43% of that. And that means that the full value that a customer expects from their financial services provider is not being given thus far. When we look at the base of the pyramid, SMEs, farmers, how well entrenched in financial services are they? That's where Mastercard is coming in, and we're saying we'll work with everyone, every like-minded partner who thinks about inclusivity and bringing value at the right commercial price point for these segments which are underserved, and bring our solutions to the table. And we try to learn, test, learn, pivot, so that the right solution in the end is curated for the end consumer.
Tell me something, Shehryar. Who is your typical client?
So we, as you know, we are a 7-decade-old company, and it started out with a group of banks on the east coast of the US. And we have spread all over the world, 200 plus countries. We have 85 million merchants. We work through, like I said, predominantly based on our business model, it was banks. But very quickly we realized that no, financial services is actually pivoting itself into telcos and other segments. Governments want to digitize their flows. So whether it's disbursement of benefits or whether it's collection of taxes, or we just want to ensure that there's an efficient digital rail behind that. Because what ends up happening is that if you depend totally on cash, cash has a cost. And most people don't realize that as per a World Bank study, 2 to 4% of your GDP is the cost of managing cash. Production, transportation, securitization of cash. And when I go to an ATM, I don't really realize that I'm actually spending fuel. I'm actually moving around. There's a cost for me to go take the money out and then store it somewhere. And God forbid, there's risk of getting robbed or security issues. So I think that all has to be taken away. That can be done by digital transformation.
Are you impressed at the growth of cashless society in East Africa and Kenya in particular?
Oh, definitely. It's mind-blowing. It's for the world to follow. Kenya can teach the world on how digital transformation on the back of mobile money should be done. And there are countries who have learned from Kenya, like Brazil, but then they've leapfrogged beyond that and really embedded digital into their ecosystem. So definitely, I think there's a long way that Kenya has gone, and there's going to be, and also user experience has to be thought of here very carefully. So every time we talk about East Africa, what's special about East Africa? There is a population which is very young, 19 years. So a 19-year-old who's born into a digital world, their expectations are ubiquity, ease, straight through, convenient, value. Is this talking to my lifestyle? If I feel strongly about environmental tree cover, is my financial services provider embedding that in my financial solution so that every time I use my, let's say, card or my wallet, is there some portion of that that's going towards a social cause that I feel strongly about? So there are all these new behaviors that we are seeing in East Africa that we need to address. And we can do it together through partnerships.
You said Kenya was a leader in digital technology, right? But then other countries leapfrogged it. Can we catch up again? Can we, or were we complacent in our innovations?
I would say that Kenya is, it's not, the gap or the distance is not big, because look, there are not many out there who have actually taken over. But when I say Brazil, I'm simply talking about certain user experiences whereby, for example, if you're standing at a supermarket today in Kenya and you have to do a payment through a mobile money wallet, and it's not just one company, across the board, the process takes about 35 to 40 seconds for you to do. Now, if I can take my phone and I can just tap my phone for low value tickets and be on my way, I don't need to really sit down and do the OTPs and do all the manual entries and stuff. That's a nice experience. QR, in certain markets, it's really done well. In Kenya, it's been tried a few times, but maybe the commercial price point wasn't the right one, or the value being sold to the merchant wasn't the right one. So I think it's all about making the clicks happen. And it's not about you. Say we tried QR payments for SMEs, and if it didn't work, well, did we learn and did we pivot and try something different with it? And that's what Mastercard is doing right now. We're working very closely with Equity Group, where we're saying that, okay, if Equity Tel is at a 0% cost to the merchant based on the merchant discount rate, if we enable QR payments on the back of that, so that not only a domestic Kenyan who's doing a transaction can utilize QR at a low cost, but also a foreigner coming into Kenya who has a Mastercard or any other card from globally, they come in and they just scan that QR and still can make that payment. And that means foreign currency coming into Kenya, which is exactly what we want to enable, in addition to convenience, ease, and the right commercial price point for the SME.
The other thing is, you're right when you say that, because we take it for granted when we go to the supermarket and you tap in your OTP and all that stuff. You don't realize you're being charged for that. We take it for granted that, there is no charge.
Correct.
But it could be lowered. It could be lower cost in these tough times.
Correct. So Mastercard, what we've done in August of this year is we did exactly that. We said, okay, GCC, UK, Europe, they've got their own pricing structures. We need to have our own. This is Kenya. This is Africa. We need to come out with a recalibrated pricing structure. So we said, okay, for conventional pricing structure, which is the normal POS, those machines, let's drop the interchange to 0.5%, which was previously 1.13. Massive drop. We did that. Then we said, okay, what's the next user experience that's coming out there? And we realized that it's tap on phone. So we said, let's drop that interchange down to 0.25%, half of the conventional. And then we said, that's not even enough because we have the QR-based payments. So how about we drop that to 0? Now that is the first in the world, a 0% QR payment that we have approved, we have announced, and now we are in project modes with a number of our partners to get that to the market. So in the end, it's all going to be test and learn. The market is giving us good feedback. Let's test it out and see if the value is realized and appreciated by the market.
Yeah. Look, let's face it, 2023, the world has taken a hit. The global markets, Russia, Ukraine, a big factor, Israel, Gaza later on in the year. And the shilling has been in a free fall for the last few months.
Yeah.
Are you guys worried?
We see these headwinds coming through. But here's my message to your listeners today. If you are going today to your workplace and you're making plans for this weekend, go ahead, get your Mastercard right away. There are many banks which offer that. The list goes on: Equity, KCB, INM, DTB, Stanbic, Paramount Bank. The list is quite extensive. Why? Because as global supply chains were disrupted and there's stress, inflation, as you mentioned, is a concern. Although we are hearing some good news with the value of Unga going down and a few other things. But with Mastercard, you go to Carrefour on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or you buy any purchase online up to 5,000 shillings, you get 1,000 shillings off. Discount. That's massive. 20% discount on your grocery bill. Regardless of the situation around the world, regardless of what you're facing, if that kind of an offer is brought to you by Mastercard and its partner in Carrefour, you better utilize it. Right? Let's take full advantage of it. Now that's just a small thing. This is just one of those offers. What about Glovo, for example? If you utilize Glovo for an open marketplace, restaurants, whatever, we are offering twice a month, every month, just use a Mastercard, free deliveries twice a month for the Glovo orders that you place. That's another one. Jumia, we are giving 10% off on every 15th of every month going forward, if you use a Mastercard. So these are just a few examples that I'm bringing to you. Travel season is upon us, right? What's the value? Hotels, prices, booking.com that we have is I'll get the exact URL for you, but that URL enables you to book your hotels of 1,600, a choice of 1,600 hotels globally, up to a 30% discount.
1/3.
There you go, 30%. And so if these kind of offers are there, and if you are today in Kenya moving around and you don't have a Mastercard in your pocket, it's time for you to get one.
And literally, you don't have to have an account with a certain bank. You just walk in and apply, right?
You see, we have prepaid cards, we have debit cards, we have credit cards. We run across the segments. So from the top of the segments to the middle segment to the lower segment, the products are all there and for the taking. And they're all priced differently. So therefore, whatever suits your lifestyle, go for it and enjoy the value.
Absolutely, especially Christmas season now, lots of shopping going on.
Right.
Tell me, what's Mastercard's vision for creating a sustainable digital economy in Kenya?
Yeah. So I think it's a lot about giving the control to the end consumer. So for example, if a transaction happens, today a transaction can happen digitally, which itself is a nice sustainable way, because if you're using cash, that means physical materials are being used, there is clunkiness, there is inefficiency. If you're moving digital any which ways, that means A, you're less burdening the economy, there's less cash to manage. Secondly, when you move to digital, what do you create? You create data points. That data point can be used then to underwrite you for a credit facility. So if you're an SME, and there's a $330 billion SME funding gap in Africa, which is massive. That means it's not easy for SMEs to get access to credit. So to support and sustain SME businesses and make them thrive, there needs to be a very strong credit angle, which a lot of the leaders in Kenya and in East Africa are working towards. Now, if you then talk about sustainability from an environment perspective, then every time you do commerce, how is that contributing to, let's say, green cover? stopping of carbon emissions. So amazing API we've launched recently. It's called the Carbon Calculator. It will calculate for you in a month what is your carbon footprint as an individual. And then it'll tell you that we have a site in McQueeney County where we have a room for 1 million trees to be planted. And we encourage that all our partners take on the carbon calculator as part of their mobile banking applications so that their customers can see their footprint on that same app. They can make a payment, donate trees. We'll do all the heavy lifting for you, working with our partners in Kenya. Conservation International is helping us plant those trees, manage those trees, give reports on the back of those trees. So that's another angle of sustainability. So inclusion, sustainability, value, I think those are the plays that MasterCard is really vested in. And it's not just talk. You have these offers live in the market. So talk to us, partner with us. Let's have fun together.
And it's across the board, right? I mean, you're open to whatever SMEs are small.
100%. SMEs is the biggest gap, like I mentioned, on the credit side. Now, how can you fill that gap? If today you are using a mobile money wallet for your business, but you are actually hiding that under a P2P or a person-to-person payment, because of, I don't know, taxation reason, whatever it is. How can we incentivize that SME to move on to digital, open a bank account, pay taxes, but yet get the benefit? You have to see the benefit. The benefit could be in the shape of a credit facility. It could be in the shape of a value-added service that you get a package. I can manage my inventories very nicely. I can get reports. I can use my data. As we say, data is the currency of the future. So how can we enable all of that for an SME to do their business and then use analytics or data to then grow their business, use credit to invest back into their business, do diversification of their business lines, and lots more. So the opportunity is mind-blowing. We just need like-minded partners to come together, look at a problem, design a solution, and then make sure we test, learn, and pivot.
Are Kenyans adept to that? Do they understand that, this is a no-brainer? It's not rocket science. This can work.
I think Kenya, compared to most countries in the world, has understood this. And that is the reason why mobile money adoption has really gone up. Now, do we have areas of improvement? 100%. Is the SME, an average SME, is it easy business for them today to get into commerce and accept digital payments? I think that's debatable. We need to make it seamless. We need to go beyond just the payment. We need to look at the total pain points of the SME, and then design these solutions. And I think that's where SMEs that we have surveyed and talked to, they've given us a feedback that if you're coming to us, don't just come with a payment solution. Give us a full view of our business. I want to trade. I want to get goods from China as an SME. How can you enable on one platform for me to list down my suppliers, list down my distributors, get me a trade and working capital line on that platform, and use your remittance rails to actually make the payments? Why should I have to go through WeChat, and an unofficial agent, a gray area, pay commissions which I don't need to, just to get my goods from China? So these are all valid, live pain points that we are seeing, and we are working day and night to solve them for Kenya and for East Africa.
There's someone listening to you for the very first time, and they have an SME. Maybe they have 3-4 cows, a dairy farmer, zero grazing, and they're looking to get more credit. They're looking to expand. What do you tell them?
So we've got an amazing solution called Farm Pass. We already have 750,000 farmers in Kenya on it. The aim is to get this year to about 1 million. We're working with our partners, Cooperative Bank of Kenya, a host of other partners, banking partners that are involved. What we do is that if a farmer wakes up in the morning and using their feature phone or whatever phone they have, they should be having access to ordering their seeds and inputs for their farm at a very low cost, but in a digital way, not using cash. We have Farm Pass agents on ground who facilitate the transfer and the logistics of providing those seeds and inputs. Beyond that, I, as a farmer, it would be great if I could get a good price by having access to marketplace using my phone. So now I've gotten my inputs, my crop is ready. I got to go to market. If I can have options on my phone and I can sell my produce at a price which is good, guess what I've done? I've moved away from cash, digitized the transaction. I have a data point to take to a lender, and I say lender, not a bank. It could be anyone. I can go and say, hey, this is my throughput and my transactions for the last 3 months. I need a line to cover me for 2 crop cycles, for example, or 1 crop cycle. And that's the conversation then this whole cash to digitalization play, Mastercard is working towards benefiting the farmer so that they get access to credit, and then also build some value-added service offering around it.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Look, you mentioned earlier Africa's population is what? 75% is under the age of 19, let's say, right? 75%. What are these young people looking for? What's Gen Z looking to do going forward?
I think that's a great question, and we are learning. And data is telling us a lot. Behaviors are changing. If I look at my children, for example, I clearly see that they've probably used more digital currencies than anything else, instead of cash. So and you see the kids coming up, Gen Zs, their expectation is ubiquity. How can I get one platform to understand me as a customer and give me what I need at the right phase of my life? So if I'm a college-going student, or if I've just started a job, or if I want to get a mortgage, should there be really a need for me to go and knock on doors and ask different banks or service providers on what they can offer me? Shouldn't it be fed to me through artificial intelligence, through data, based on where I am? Why should I have to go and set up my profile? Why isn't it available through either open banking or through the data that the banks or the telcos or the government already has? And before I ask for it, how about you show that to me? So that's what the future customer is expecting. It's contextualized experiences, where even when you go right now, let's say on Google, right? And sometimes you realize you were just talking about something with someone and something showed up on your phone. That's all generative AI. That's like trying to connect the pieces of your profile in a way, and we have to respect GDPR and the data rules around this, but it does really add value, because before I ask for something, a option comes in front of us, and we choose to either take it or we don't take it. But that kind of thinking, that kind of an ecosystem build is what Mastercard is looking forward to contributing towards.
And the future is open. I mean, it's bountiful. I mean, it's an open book.
Absolutely. And it can get really, for example, let's say the clothes you're wearing, for example.
I hope there's nothing wrong with them.
No, perfectly fine. However, this is the power of blockchain. Proof of provenance, which basically means that if you want to know, Jeff, where did your production of your clothes take place, and you have certain affinity to certain practices of labor, certain quality of goods, and you want to track back where was the source of your clothing coming from, before you decide that you're going to buy it, right? That all information blockchain enables. So whatever business you want to do or way you want to live your life or the values you hold, blockchain can enable you through proof of provenance. So future is generative AI, future is proof of provenance. Cryptocurrencies and digital currencies it's live. It's not something of the future. We just have to adopt it. It's not easy, because a lot of the times there is a regulatory and governance challenge which one has to go through. But as really creative and responsible partners in this ecosystem, everybody has to come together. Governments, regulators, banks, all the financial service providers. And I think if we work together, we can definitely keep spearheading East Africa ahead of the rest of the world.
Yeah. On partnerships and collaborations, you mentioned Equitel earlier on.
Yes.
I know that's a big deal for you guys. Yes. Any others that you can talk about?
Well, let's just understand why Equitel firstly is a big deal. So if you think about the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan, it's a massive visionary feat to put that together, and credit to Honorable Dr. Mwangi at the helm of Equity Group, who envisioned it. And it was a very inclusive plan to grow in the East African trade corridors, acceptance and embedding of low-cost, easily accessible, but also high convenience-based solutions out there in the market, and scale them at pace. It covers all the socioeconomic segments. So with that kind of a plan and that kind of an expansion within East Africa, Equitil or Till One solution in Kenya, it came out and it rocked. It is already 1 million merchants accept Equity Till One solutions at a 0% cost if you've got an Equitel wallet. And it's spreading. So that's one example. However, then there is, we are working on the fintech space with, really progressive banks like Diamond Trust Bank, where we've launched a fintech factory this year with them. So any fintech who wants to come and get financial services, we plug them in. They can get acceptance solutions, issuing solutions. There's so many things as a service these days, security as a service, finance as a service, health as a service, education as a service. So we're all plugging those needs that those fintechs want to bring to the market in an effective way. Airtel is another big partnership that we are live with today, whereby more than 300,000 customers have a Mastercard virtual card API on their phone, so that if they're traveling in Africa or outside of Africa, they can simply go and tap their phone, make payments using that for e-commerce. So there's many use cases that we're developing through these partnerships. Yeah.
The future, what does it look like for Mastercard in this region?
I think this, because of the very nature, and I think we're lucky in this region because of the age demographic and the adoption of change. Loyalty is becoming a very novel aspect in our lives now, because if you think about it, we easily now switch platforms. The youth, for us, maybe we don't. Maybe we are still like, okay, we're used to this, so let's just stick with a particular platform. Even in social media,
Sure.
If I ask people now sitting in a room and I say, how many of you still continue to use Facebook? Fewer and fewer hands are being raised. Now it's like TikTok, and there's other things that are coming out, which is, and it's growing by the day. So then the question is, if now moving between platforms has become second nature, what is that differentiator that makes you move? It's excellent user experience, relevance, like I said, contextual, generative, artificial intelligence, contextual experiences. That's what makes you feel like, this connects to me. This connects to me in multiple ways. The experience, the value, the ecosystem that is built, it's relevant to me. It brings sustainability in a way that connects with me as an individual, and therefore I believe I need to switch and leave this particular platform I've been using for many years and move on to a new one. So when Mastercard is saying that we are in a habit of disrupting ourselves, and I think that's the key to our success. If you sit on your laurels even for a little while in this day and age, you miss on a major opportunity. So that's how we are looking at our business, and we're saying let's continue with the digital drive, number one. Number two, let's transform working with governments, the government flows. So we are part of the e-citizen program in Kenya, 10,000 plus use cases already, growing by the day. So we're part of that in terms of acceptance and issuing. Issuing could also mean ID cards issuing, but it's mainly ID cards mixed with payments.
Right.
How do you enable that same form factor? So that's one, working with telcos to further embed value-added services, credit, beyond the payments factor that we're already, we've worked with MTN, we've worked with Airtel, and the list is growing. Tigo Pesa went live this year in Tanzania, a massive success, really growing by the day. So I think we're working with these different segments, government, telcos, banks, like I mentioned, equity. We launched for the top end of the market also with KCB last month, the first World Elite USD card. So that if you're traveling abroad, you take those USDs with you on that World Elite card. Amazing benefits. Carrefour, guys, still, if you're listening to me, go and get your MasterCard. This is the time. Make the most of it. And we'll continue to build domestically relevant value for you. So give us feedback as well.
Absolutely. Look, you travel a lot around the region.
Yes.
And I'm sure you know there are countries that you go to that are stuck in a time warp. I wouldn't mention them, but whether it's a banking system or telco system, they're still in the 1990s or even further. Is that a challenge for you guys? Do you find that very challenged? And that, obviously in the end, you're going to have all hands on deck.
Correct. No, yeah. Well, I think, Jeff, you've really raised a very good question, because if you look at even East Africa, not every country falls in the same bucket, right? So there are countries who are just getting on to that digital journey.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is not make them go through the sequential steps of how to transform and what other countries had done and the steps they followed. The idea is to help them leapfrog by looking at the latest and greatest successes of their neighbors, or a behavior that we are noticing particular to that country, which may exist in other countries, may not exist in other countries. So it's never a one-size-fits-all with Mastercard. We really delved. Firstly, the world is becoming too much of a talker, right? You have to be a listener. You listen and study and observe a particular country, a particular ecosystem, a particular pain point, and then you put together a design which is made for that geography, that segment, and you bring it to the table. And I think that's the approach that has worked for us thus far, and we continue to look at things that way. And we will help a lot of the countries leapfrog, learn from the success stories like Kenya, like the mobile money that we've seen, and then bring them up the curve a bit faster than perhaps those who had done all the heavy lifting initially.
Yeah.
The other countries don't necessarily have to go through that same journey.
And the mistakes along the way.
Exactly. Learn from them and pivot. Like I said, learn, test, pivot. That cycle is so beneficial, because we never get it right all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Learn, test, pivot. Look, the market you're looking at is what? About 500 million people? Is that what it is in the East African and Indian Ocean islands?
Yes. That is exactly.
That's a huge market.
You're on the number, yeah.
That's a huge market.
Yeah. It is. And frankly, some of it is included. Like I said, even in Kenya, 43% only have bank accounts. Then if you move to large markets like Ethiopia, Tanzania as well, and so on, you realize that there are pockets. So for example, if there is a mamamboga, or if there is a taxi driver, or those motorbike taxi drivers. In Tanzania, we've enabled QR there. So if a customer wants to avail that taxi ride, they can simply go scan the QR and make payments, and they're making payments right now. Boda riders, right? There you go. So I think we are looking at all possible opportunities out there and designing solutions which are, again, convenience-based, commercially priced at the right price point, and the user experience needs to be something like, it should take few seconds for you to actually do those transactions with trust, with safety and security, which is critical.
Absolutely. I was actually going to come to that, because trust and security are key when it comes to, your money. People don't trust, and that's why only 43% are banked.
Correct.
The rest, have still money under the mattress or wherever they put it.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's why our cybersecurity business is massive. It's huge. We're working with governments, with telcos, with fintechs, with banks, day in, day out, looking at, there's that gray world out there, right? Or, whatever you want to call them. They are always looking at the next, big hack. Kenya is no exception. Yeah. We saw what happened with eCitizen, I think, some time back, right? And, it was a DDoS attack, which is basically I disable a service provider by just hitting their servers so hard that the server gets overwhelmed and the service drops. So a filter, a nice filter that Mastercard, for example, Baffin Bay is a company we just recently bought, and we've presented that to the Kenyan government and to the other governments around the world, where we are saying, hey, you have a problem, we've seen it, let's fix it very quickly. Here's a solution. So whenever we see a security solution which is latest, solves for a main key problem that our customers are facing, we either invest in it, buy it, make it available on our network. So it's powering the network to ensure that there is trust in our security and our service. So it's a very big topic of discussion. We've done a cybersecurity workshop in Kenya this year. We got everybody. Regulators, banks, telcos, everybody came in. We all asked the questions. We told our problems. And I think those conversations then lead to building proof points. And then we once those proof points are presented and everybody likes it, then we hit the market and we tell the hackers, back off. We're going to stay one step ahead of you.
We've got the firewalls. I like your pitch about Carrefour. So before they get to Carrefour, if they're tuning in right now for the very first time, how do they get a card? How do they head to Carrefour?
Excellent. So, like I said, we have number of service providers who are issuing Mastercard today. Equity, any branch, you can go get your Mastercard. KCB, same thing. Diamond Trust Bank, I&M Bank, Stanbic, Paramount Bank, GT, UBA. The list is long, right? But anywhere, any bank that's providing you a Mastercard, go and get it right away. You don't even need to go to Carrefour to get this discount. Just download their mobile app where you can put your grocery order. Go ahead, you'll get a 20% discount on your Mastercard straight away, and make the most of it. It's every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you decide to do your groceries on those days, you're going to save and do yourself a favor. So please don't wait. Go and get your Mastercard right away.
And Global will deliver free twice a month.
Twice a month, every month. So it's not a 1 month offer. This is every month. Just use your Mastercard on Glovo. Do your normal shopping that you do, ordering that you do, restaurant, even eateries, whatever you do on Glovo. You'll get 2 free deliveries on a Mastercard. And that's a really special offer. And then Jumia, 10% off every 15th of the month. So if you have to order on Jumia, just wait for the 15th of the month. You'll get a 10% discount on your bucket, whatever you're offering. So collect your bucket over the month, but on the 15th you make your payment using your Mastercard, you get 10% off. And then the hotel booking one, that is as well, priceless.hotels.com, I think is the URL, but we can check that. That enables up to 30% discount. So if you're making your travel plans right now, do check it. I've done it. I've done my bookings. Love it. The value is real. Sankara, Kempinski, hotels in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda. This is African value, and that Mastercard's bringing. So make the most of it.
You've been in Kenya about 3 years now, plus minus.
Yeah.
What does Shehryar Ali do when he's not digitizing economies?
Well, I think I'm a workaholic. That's what people around me tell me. But I'd like to think otherwise. I'm a family man. I've got 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. And I just live a lot of my life, which is the work and the people around me. I've got a lovely team in Mastercard. We just have a lot of fun. But then beyond that, when I'm with my children, it's that morning drop off, that 20 minutes that I get to drop them to school, and I see them smiling. Secondly, it's seeing them excel at sports. My eldest son, for example, he was at the NBA office launch yesterday at Sankara.
Yeah.
Big basketball fan.
Huge.
Ron Harper was there.
That's right.
And he's a legend, 5-time NBA champion. So when I see them living their lives and seeing this kind of richness coming to Africa, it just makes my day. So having a good time with family and friends and loved ones. Time is a precious commodity, Jeff, as you know.
Absolutely.
It's so difficult now, to spare. So I think the quality time, those quality moments, cherish them before they fleet away.